Gene Carman, born on May of 1918 in Maslow, Ohio. At the start of the war, Gene had a small family and had a strong passion to serve his country in any way possible, so he volunteered in the Army. He served in World War II as a navigator in a Bombardier, a crew member responsible for targeting and releasing bombs from a B-25 aircraft. This was a twin-engine, twin-tail, medium American bomber plane used extensively by Allied forces during the war. A total of 9,816 B-25s were built exclusively for the United States Army Air Corps. Bombing crews had to complete a total of 25 missions before being allowed to go home. Gene flew 30.
My mother was driving a car on a winter evening coming home from Dayton, Ohio to Massillon, Ohio, where I was living. And we rounded a curve that was on a hill, and it was icy, and the car rolled over. And it rolled 3 times. Now, in today's car, the car would have been totally demolished. We righted our car and drove away. That was adrenaline filled.
Was it?
As a child. I didn't get recruited. I volunteered. I was married, had a family, would not have had to go. But I was working with Chevrolet Motor Division in Flint, Michigan at the time. And my job, what I was doing was placing orders with manufacturers and following them into completion. And then the military needed that kind of expertise. And I volunteered to help the war cause. But they ignored all I volunteered for and put me where they wanted to put me. And I wound up in the regular Army. That wasn't exactly what I had in mind. I was a Bombardier, and I was a member of the B-25 crew, which was a medium bomber. There were 6 members in our crew, the pilot, the co-pilot, and me. And the enlisted men were a radio gunner, engineer gunner, and tail gunner. And I really had training all over the United States. And anywhere from Miami, Florida. I was at the University of Miami at Miami, Florida. Had a navigation program and meteorology program. And I completed that and went, and they took about 12 of us out of the graduating class and shipped us to Bombardier school. We had thought we were going to be navigators. And they shipped us to Bombardier school. And we were in Las Vegas, Nevada, McCarran Field, and several different places around the United States.
What were your thoughts during this training time, or when you learned?
Enough, the future was going to take care of itself, and all we had to do was prepare what we were going through, the studies and what have you, making sure that we had everything down pat. And quite honestly, the future was out there, but it was going to take care of itself. We didn't have much control over what we were going to do. We were assigned as a crew. We first met all of the members of what would be our crew. We had not met before. And we might have had just casual brushes during training or something of the sort, but we hadn't met as a crew. And we were assigned in Greenville, South Carolina. And we got to know each other quite well. We flew a lot of training missions together so that we could pretty well determine what each of us was going to do and how we were going to react to different situations. And there were several incidents. I'm not quite sure if this is the kind of thing you want to hear, but I want to tell you anyhow. Our Bombardier, not our Bombardier, our waist gunner was a young Jewish boy named Bernie Plotkin. Before we went overseas, we went into a post exchange, and a young lady that was serving us had on a sweater. Then on one side of the sweater on the front was the name Betty. And Bernie said to her, "Do you mind if I ask you a personal question?" She said, "No." He said, "What do you call the other one?" She had, her breasts were, according to Bernie, were named. And so he wanted to know what she called the other one. But you ask about flights and what have you, and there are so many. We had so much flying time that it would be difficult to pick out any one. When we went overseas, when we picked up our plane and were ready to go, we had gone through hours and hours of endless training and bombing runs and all kinds of different kinds of missions. We flew into Corsica and had a real good landing and the whole bit, and no problems of any kind, just really nice. And then we were introduced to all around to the various people we'd be flying with, and I was on my 30th mission, and we were headed for the bridges at the railroad yard, not the bridges, the railroad, the marshalling yards at Avignon, France. And we were after the marshalling yards there, and we had been briefed that the anti-aircraft fire was not anything spectacular. There was some there, but not much. Well, as it turned out, there was a lot there. Our briefing was a little bit short of what was really true. And when we hit Avignon, I had settled in on my bomb site, and we were all set to go, and bombs were away. And I was watching the bombs fall. I always wanted to see where they hit. And when I was watching them fall, when I heard a loud bang, real loud bang. Now in a plane, if the shrapnel and the bomb bursts are away from you, you hear cracks and pops. But if you hear a loud bang, it's pretty close to you. Well, I heard the bang and felt the shudder, and we were hit. And they took off the B-25 is a twin-tail airplane, and it has twin rudders. And it took off the right rudder, and the port engine, the right engine, was shot out, and we were going down. There was no question about it. And Joe Maywald came on, the pilot, and he was, when the shells hit, they took out our hydraulic system, so he had no help in flying that airplane at all. It was all manual control. If you're familiar with Europe at all, the farmers pick up the rocks in their field, and they'll build fences and walls throughout the fences, throughout the fields. And we were about to run into one of those walls, and Joe came in with his airplane, and he was able to level it off and hit the tail on one side of the fence, and we bounced over that wall and skidded to a landing. We're in France, and that's enemy territory. So we know when we land that we're surrounded by Germans, and they're going to find us. Well, it was kind of interesting in a way. I always tell this story. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was to shoot my bomb site. We were instructed that if anything happened to us, that you destroy the site and destroy anything in the airplane that it could be of help to the enemy. And shooting that bomb site was something I just really didn't want to do. Incidentally, this is a model of the Norden bomb site, which is, at its time, this was one of the most highly guarded secrets in the Army. we destroyed all the stuff in the airplane that we could, and we were looking around for them. We expected to find a German behind every blade of grass. We thought there would be somebody there. So we were hiding in the field, and one at a time, we get up and run across that road and that trail and into the trees. And I had one of the pieces of flak that hit me glanced off a ring on this finger and lodged in my little finger. The piece of flak lodged in the little finger. And my finger it had collapsed the ring, and my finger was turning black, and the circulation was shot. And one of the things that we were given was an escape kit. And in that escape kit, it's not really a whole lot bigger than your cell phone. It's about 3/4 of an inch high and maybe 2.5 by 5 inches long. And in that escape kit, there was a map on silk of the area that we were in. There was a short piece of steel with a serrated edge that could be used as a saw, and Joe was using that to cut the ring off my finger. And that took a little while. And we were just still expecting the Germans to pop up just any moment to capture us, and we were anticipating. Well, after a short time, I was losing a little blood, and I said, I'm going to try to find some help. And so I started to take off, and Joe Maywald, the pilot, said, "Not alone, you're not." He would not let me go alone. He just absolutely refused. So we told everybody to stay put, and if we found anything, we'd be back. And then just over a little rise, we saw another house, and there was a man and 3 women living in that house, and they were part of the French Maquis, the French underground. And they took us in immediately, and they doctored my wounds, and in that escape kit there was painkiller and all kinds of stuff. And they fed us and told us that we couldn't stay there because there was danger of the Germans catching them. If they caught them with us, they were going to be executed probably. So they told us where to go to meet the French Maquis, that there would be French Maquis there. We thought we had nailed down the position, but we missed it. And very early the next morning, it was just shortly after daybreak, we heard noises off in just a short distance away from us. And Joe and I crawled out to see what was going on. We came to a log with some brush growing up around it, and it gave us good cover, and we stood there, laid behind that log and raised up. It was kind of funny. We were expecting Germans at any moment, expected them to be there. We raised up to see the Germans, and it turned out to be one lone Frenchman, an elderly gentleman. And we watched him for a while and realized that he was alone. So I stood up and called to him. And he was like the little old lady. He started to shake. And he was absolutely scared to death. Well, I was able to converse with him. My French I hadn't used in school. And it was coming back to me rather quickly, I thought. I was fortunate, but it just turned out to be really a good choice when I was in school, and had no thought that would happen. Many times the Lord had played a significant part in my life, and that was one of them. But he said he convinced us to stay put and that he would have help come. The next day we get up again early in the morning, and the guys the Frenchmen that had picked us up had been to the site of our crash, and had taken from it all the things that they could carry away from the airplane, including the bomb sight and a machine gun. They took the machine gun out of the nose of the plane, and they had it on the back of a flatbed truck, along with the escape raft, which was a big yellow raft, and they had inflated that thing. Now we're trying to stay inconspicuous, and they've got